Well, I think what makes me go from one age to another age as a reader, for a reader, is that I get bored with myself. If I have just finished doing a picture book, I love doing picture books. I've only done, I think, 3. They're very hard. They do not come out quickly from me. I tend to write the first draft quickly and then find I have to reduce it so drastically that takes a long, long time. You know, you will write 38 pages and you think, oh, isn't this nice? Take it to your editor, and she said, yes, it's all very nice, but it's got to be 14 pages, you know, and you feel all your beautiful words escaping from you, and you maybe argue a bit, but the fact is you can't have a very big text for a picture book. So I finish a picture book, I do not want to do another picture book for a while. So I just sort of at random decide what I'm going to do, unless a publisher says, will you please do something specific? And I certainly have had that happen with the book Fractures, which is written, I think most of the stories are adult stories, but publishers don't seem to want me to write adult stories that are marketed as adult stories. And it's true, I do most of my writing about adolescent and late teen people, but I really feel mostly I'm writing for adults about teens. And that's a tricky territory. It's really what's called a crossover book. But it's very hard to market that as anything else except a children's book. And this has been difficult for me. I've often said I'll probably have to be dead before people will realize who I'm writing for. But that's okay. What I do, if I decide I'm going to write a story, is just write the story. I'm not aiming it at anybody. And I did this with Before Green Gables. So I asked my editor, after I went through the 2 months in which I tried to decide whether I wanted to write this book or not, because I didn't really want to write it, for various reasons, and you can ask me about that or not. I said, for whom am I writing this book now that I've decided to do it? And she said, you're writing it for anyone who has read Anne of Green Gables. And that means, that's me thinking, that means anyone from 9 to 89. And I just thought, 80 years of readership is just more than I can cope with, so I'm just going to have to write the story as it comes out of my head without thinking who it's for. And I do feel that that book is mainly for adults. There's a lot of difficult material in there. There's a lot of sad material, tragic stuff that has to be in there because it's mentioned later on in Anne of Green Gables. If you read chapter 5, you see a kind of overview of Anne's life, and you know that the parents have to die, you know that Mr. Thomas has to die, you know that Mr. Hammond has to die, and you know that she's ripped from family to family, and all those things have to go in there. But it's strung out so that it makes the pain more than it is in Anne of Green Gables, which is dealt with in about 4 pages, and then you're rid of it. But it's there in the background. And so mostly, if I start to write a story or a poem, I just write it because I'm writing a story, and then when I'm through, I think, who's it for? But since I so often do write about adolescence, it just kind of naturally drops into the YA slot, and there I am again in the children's section.